Welcome to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, the show with business titans sharing their stories of the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite glass of whiskey, and listen to the real and raw stories of these industry leaders. Now, here's your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the most interesting marketer, Jacob Fail.
What's up, everybody? It's Jacob Fail, the most interesting marketer, CEO, and founder of Brute Media Group. We have a very special guest today on the Whiskey with Winners podcast. We have someone who has created two great companies, Exchange Lead and Autoklose. He was a top-performing tennis player, professional tennis player in Canada. So I want to welcome over Shawn, CEO of Autoklose. How's it going, Shawn?
Great. Thanks for having me on the show, Jacob.
Cool. So we'll just kind of get right into it. I kind of want to find out the man behind Autoklose and get into, how you came about it. But first, I kind of want to hear about your childhood and your upbringing. So kind of tell us a little bit, like where you were born, what led you into the entrepreneurial, journey, and let's kind of get into some of that.
Perfect. So early on in my other life, I can say, I was a semi-professional tennis player. So I was nationally ranked, world ranked, and it came to a point where I was 18 years old, and you have to make a decision: do you try and go pro, or do you maybe go the education route,
Right.
and then try and get an education and build something? I wanted to go the education route, but ideally I didn't really have much of a choice, because at that point there wasn't many Canadian tennis players that kind of made a living off tennis. So for me to go and start making a living would have been tough. So I went the entrepreneurial route, got my MBA in finance, and then slowly left finance into sales, and then became an entrepreneur.
Nice. So you're out of Canada. You're in Toronto, correct?
I'm in Toronto with all the winter snow right now. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So is that where you grew up? Were you born and raised in Toronto?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Toronto, and then been living here my whole life. I travel a little bit for work now, and I get to sometimes take vacations, but I'm mostly in Toronto.
Nice, awesome. So, in growing up, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? When did that start? So, I mean, were you like in a middle class family? Do you have a rags to riches story? I mean, tell us a little bit about your background and how that kind of came about, other than you just started tennis at 18 and became professional. Like, let's hear a little bit about some of the backstory on that.
Okay, so obviously the goal early on was to try and be a professional tennis player, ideally be the next Andre Agassi. But when I found out that couldn't work, at that point I found out everyone was getting an education, and I felt that getting an MBA would kind of differentiate myself from other people. And then from there, I wanted to be a trader. I loved investing, so I was going to be a trader. And I ended up working a few of my co-op terms at some of the Canadian banks here on the trading floor, and then realized that wasn't for me. But the entrepreneurial thing, I think, came from after my tennis career when I was coaching tennis, and I was always competitive, but always had a tough time letting people tell me and dictating my daily routine and what I was going to do. So at some point I had to, leave my day-to-day job and make that push to the entrepreneur world, which is about 5 years ago now, and I haven't looked back.
Nice. So your first company was Exchange Leads, correct? And that's what you started first back in, I think, 2013?
Yeah. So what happened was, I think it was 2000. It might have been 2013, 2014 when it started.
Yeah.
I was working for a company, and what happened was I had a sales team under me, and I felt that the sales team just had terrible data. The phone numbers were inaccurate, the emails were inaccurate, and I said to myself, like a big company that we're buying, we're spending thousands of dollars on data. And I was like, why has nobody solved the issue around providing maybe not so much volume, but actual clean contacts? So that's where I came up with the first idea, which was Exchange Leads, which was a data company, which was a crowdsourced data company to help people with their data. And then, about a year and a half in, we kind of, we heard a lot of feedback from our clients. And that's at that point we transitioned into Autoklose.
Right. And so now you have basically Exchange Leads is built into Autoklose, right?
Exactly.
And you can have the list and the basically the list, the cleaner, and everything right there, all in one system, which is great. And I use Autoklose, and I personally love it. It's a great system for sure. So another thing, I want to talk about some of the challenges, because there's a lot of people out here, they they just see the high level part
Yeah.
of everything, and they see like all these great things that people are doing, but they don't really realize what we go through as owners of companies. Entrepreneurial journey is a very lonely one,
Yeah.
especially if you don't have someone that can uplift you and keep you in check. So tell us about some of your failures or some of your personal problems that you faced, and have you hired mentors or any different programs that you've taken to kind of help you get on the path, or just were you just always an entrepreneur and just kind of kept your head down and did everything yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. At the beginning, as an entrepreneur, well, first off, you got to wear a lot of hats. But I think one of the biggest
Yep.
challenges early on is people hire people, and they might realize it's not the right fit, but they take too long to fire them. So I always tell people, as an entrepreneur, even if you're hiring a salesperson, you can hire a salesperson. It's going to take you 3 months to train them. So after 3 months, if they find another job, you've now wasted 3 months training them, and they're going to leave you. So I would say, hire quick if you'd like, but fire quicker.
Yeah.
So if they're not the right fit, get rid of them sooner than later. And you'll have that hunch right at the beginning to see if they're not the right fit. One of the other challenges I'll say was, when you're launching your own product, you're becoming an entrepreneur. One thing I would recommend, and I did it personally, was when I knew I was going to make that transition, I actually spent a year at my sales job. And what I would do is I'd work all day at the sales job and work on my entrepreneur after. But what I did was through that year was save enough money that the day I launched my first business, I had 6 months of rent and to keep my life going. Because you don't want to go right from a six-figure paying job to an entrepreneur. And for me, it was leaving a six-figure job for $49.99. That was my first sale. It was $50. But I knew that I gave myself a 6-month window that I can grow this. And if not, I'd have to go back to working. But I gave myself a 6-month window and really, put my head down. And within 90 days, we broke even on exchange leads. So from there, we're just hiring the right people in place to continue to grow and expand that.
Definitely. So when hiring people, because I've started growing my agency and hiring people, salespeople, client management, customer relations stuff. Would you suggest starting out with contractors, or would you suggest hiring in-house and training them? What's your take on that?
Well, so for us, we were lucky. Most of our people on our organization, we have about a handful here in Toronto. But we have about 32 people out in Serbia, in Eastern Europe. So,
nice.
But everyone on my team is actually a contractor. So even though they are full-time, they are a contractor, just because at the beginning, well, here in Toronto, you have to give the benefits and all the other deductions if they're an employee. It just worked out better. But I would definitely, if you're going to start your own company, you got to start lean. And how do you do lean? You got to kind of outsource to, Eastern Europe and other places where you can save a few dollars. And don't get me wrong, you're going to get very well-educated people. I speak to some of our people on our Serbian team, and they have more knowledge than our North American team, but the cost is
significantly lower.
I wouldn't say it's significantly low anymore. It used to be. 5 years ago when I started, it was. But the Eastern Europe in general is starting to raise their prices because everyone wants their strengths and their needs.
Yeah. Well, it's like hiring VAs from the Philippines, you can get different things done for, super cheap. And I think that's, what a lot of people are seeing now versus hiring in-house and keeping, the overhead so much lower whenever you do stuff like that. So kind of tell us a little bit of like controversial topics and myths about people that do email marketing. Like, give us some of your tips and tricks that you've seen over the years. As far as that goes.
So I think that there's a few things. I think a lot of people, they write emails not knowing that there are words that are called spam words that, they'll write emails in the subject line and they'll have like the word free or discount, where it's just like, you just don't want to do that, because it's going to go in the spam words. So what we've actually included is now we highlight spam words for people. We almost found like our clients, like you have to they think that emails just, you blast emails, it's a number game. You blast 200 emails, you're going to get so many opens, then you're going to get the clicks. But the whole key about sales engagement or email outreach is you want to personalize it. Find some nuggets about that individual and put those nuggets inside your message, because they're getting so many messages a day. If you can find, like, for example, I'm the type of person, if you send me a cold email, I won't reply. But if you send me a cold email and it has anything to do about tennis, you're getting a reply. Yeah. Right. So stuff like that. And you can find all that stuff on LinkedIn. So try and find those little nuggets that can help you stay engaged with those prospects, but make that prospect feel like it is a one-on-one email, even though you might be sending out to 50 people.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that I know there's a lot of people that do that well. I opted into a funnel the other day, and it sent me back a picture of the guy holding up a sign, like a blank piece of paper with my name on it. I guess I don't know what he used, but like seeing my name on this, this guy holding up a piece of paper, I'm like instantly like, this is great.
Yeah. I'll give you a little trick. I did a keynote speak I was doing 2 weeks ago in New York, and I said, this is what our team tried, and it really worked out well. Now that you're saying the sign, we used a video email, and I would say on the video email, "Hi, Jacob." But what I actually did was I went through our database and I pulled out every single person in the manufacturing industry called with the name Jacob.
Nice.
So it sounds like a one-on-one, but I'd be saying, "Hi, Jacob. I know you're in the manufacturing space." And I did a video, so it looked like a one-on-one, but it was actually being sent to about 20, 30. So you can find names like Jennifer, Michelle, Bob, Kevin, Michael, right. And you could probably blast a lot. Just one of my little tricks you do, because if you could do it at scale and you can make it as personal as possible, the better for you.
Yeah, definitely. Now, do you think that with sending videos or documents, is it going to hit spam quicker or less?
Yeah, so if you put too many attachments, it will put you into spam. But it's the same thing as people don't understand in your email signature. If you have an email signature with a hyperlink to your Twitter account, your Facebook account, your email, your address, and everything, those are too many links. So you want to make sure there are not too many links in your email, not too many attachments. Video email, some places will block you, but listen, Vidyard is one of the biggest companies in the world, and Salesforce, all the Fortune 100 companies are now using video. So I think it's just, what you're using it for and how you're using it. Obviously, you shouldn't be blasting out, 500 videos at a time, but if you do 10 to 15, the algorithms on the back end of what we do will time each one that if it was actually you doing a personalized video.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are two things that someone should look for when hiring an email expert?
An email expert. I always look for, I'll tell you two things I always look for, but they're more for sales professionals, but you can, I guess, use them for email expert also. One, someone that's competitive. Because if you're calling, you're emailing, or you're doing anything with prospecting, you have to, be familiar and take rejection. You're going to get rejected. When you send out emails, people are going to tell you to F off. It's just going to happen.
Right.
So if you gotta be competitive, and obviously, I tell people you gotta either love to win or hate to lose. So I always look for competitive. Someone's played a sport in the past. Sales wise, people ask me why. I always look for people that have worked at a bank, and you could use this towards email or sales. And the reason why is like people are like, why a bank? And the reason why is people nowadays need to be trained. So it's either you as a young founder or entrepreneur, you're going to have to spend the money to train them. Or you can hire someone that's worked at the bank, and every bank has a thorough playbook for training people. So let the banks pay for the training. They come to you, they've been trained. Now you just got to teach them your processes.
That's a really good tip. I didn't think about that as far as hiring from a bank. That's because I know my wife used to work at a bank, and so she did get a lot of training whenever she was there. So one thing that I want to ask you is, what one piece of advice would you give someone that makes someone a successful business owner versus a failure in business?
So I would say you got to be, you almost got to be strong. You got to be able to take those. It's a roller coaster. You're going to have your ups and downs. Like, I remember early on when we were just getting up, I used to look at our monthly cash flow and be like, we had an amazing month. The next month would be terrible. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to pay all my employees. I got to pay everyone. So
Right.
you got to be able to take those peaks and valleys. So I would say stay on course. If you believe in your vision, you believe in your mission, you'll succeed. But it's not going to be a smooth way up. You're going to have some bottlenecks and roadblocks, and make sure you can overcome them. So you got to be, I guess, strong-willed.
Yeah, very strong-willed for sure. So another thing, I was reading up on you, and it said that you were selling packaging from Orient. Tell me a little bit about that.
Still do. Still to this
really?
day. So
Okay.
I started a business. It was actually right after my MBA, actually. So I mean, it has to be about 13, 14 years ago. And initially what I was doing was I was just a middleman. I had a client here that wanted, cosmetic packaging boxes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get them from the Orient. So I actually went on Alibaba and got a manufacturer, and I got my first order, and I only made a few $100.
Right.
But it was kind of like how to learn to be an entrepreneur. So what happened was, I started doing that, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can make like $1,000 to $2,000 a month that could pay my rent.
Right.
And all I'm really doing is being a distributor. So boxes get shipped from China to my house, and I just deliver to the manufacturer. Let alone 13 years later, those same clients that I was making a few $100 and were buying 1,000 boxes now are bringing in 250,000 boxes a year. So
Nice.
They now grew into, I think, 450 stores. When I started with them, there were a few stores. So I currently bring in cosmetic packaging. I bring them on a plane or a boat, bring them to Toronto. I pick them up with a big truck. I have somebody delivered to my manufacturer, and still to this day, I still have, I think, 7 clients I do it for, and I haven't stopped because early on with Autoklose, I needed some other streams of income while we were getting started. So that was it. But still to this day, every quarter I get a call and they need a new order.
Nice. That's awesome. So essentially you're kind of the wholesaler or the drop shipper from over there, or
that's it. So basically they give me the designs, I give them the quote, I purchase the boxes from China, bring it here, add a very small markup to it, bring it to my client, and that's it.
That's awesome. So how many so I know that us being founders, like, we get shiny object syndrome sometimes, and we want to do multiple things. So what's been your way of combating that? I finally this year just got so focused on everything that I want to do, and anything that's outside of my focus, I'm just pushing it to the side. So how do you personally deal with that? Or have you ever fell down to the shiny object syndrome?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm one of those, I love to work. I manage 3 companies right now, have a total of almost 55 people between the 3 companies. What I did with Autoklose starting this year, actually a month ago, is I hired team leads. So now inside the organization where I used to be involved in sales and marketing operations, I'm still a bit involved, but I'm more doing now a lot more important stuff. I've hired team leads to manage those teams. So I only talk to the team leads on Monday mornings, this morning. And then what happens is the team lead just follows up with me. They ask me what their budget is. I give them a budget and they run off. So I have a few calls a day with the team. But more importantly, I've kind of put people into position to grow the business, because early on when there's only 3 of us, I need to be more involved. But now that we have about 40 people, I can be less involved. So I'm still involved in everything. I'm always looking for other projects. I always dip myself into real estate and investing and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. And real estate's where the money is. That's the long-term play for everyone, or should be at least.
Definitely in Toronto. Definitely in Toronto.
Yeah. Is it a good market there? Is it pretty hot, or?
Oh, I mean, our market, we're like the New York of the USA. So,
nice.
You can't get much for under 7 figures here.
Nice. So are you currently investing in real estate?
Yep. I have a few condos, real estate market. Yep. I'm in the real estate market, and always looking to kind of move around a little bit, because it's not the easy way to make money. But in Toronto, over the last 5 years, it's been a lot easier than running a business.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, since we got on the real estate topic, because that's one of my interests as well, are you more like, do you want to invest in condos versus multifamily or single family? Like, kind of what's your play on that?
Well, in Toronto, the condo market's it's skyrocketed. So right now it's a little bit high, but there's not much real estate here. I mean, it's tough now. It's tougher now to get into real estate and invest here, simply because a small 2-bedroom, 2-bath here is about $1 million. Right. So you got to have money to put up. 5 years ago, that same $1 million was $350,000-$400,000.
Right.
So the market's really skyrocketed now, so it's tough to kind of get in and make a lot of money. But what you got to be able to do is kind of willing to move, live there for a bit, make a few little changes, put it up for sale, etc. Because the market hasn't really went down over the last 7 years. So, but I like condos. As long as it can pay for your mortgage, your maintenance, and all your property tax and stuff, and you're breaking even or making a little bit of money, it's a good investment.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of what are some things that you would give to some tips that you would give to people who are thinking about starting their own SaaS company?
So here's some tips I would do is pricing is very important. A lot of people think that when you start a SaaS, your pricing is actually the most important thing. And a lot of people think, oh, should I give a free trial? Should I give them 14 days? One of the biggest things that I learned early on, and I actually heard this speaking with David Cancel, the CEO of Drift. He said to me, he goes, Shawn, don't give anything away for free. Don't give a free trial. You want them to be somehow invested in some sort of capacity. So what I did was, I did this. I would call for our first 50 clients. I would go, hi, Jacob, here's a demo of Autoklose. How much would you pay for this software? And Jacob would say, I'll give you $20 a month. It's yours, $20 a month. Next person might call and go, I don't know, I can't really afford it. I can give you $3 a month. It's yours, $3 a month. So I actually took whatever people were willing to pay for it for the first 50 clients, because you need those clients to come on and give you feedback, suggestions, etc. But I don't want to give them for free. So even if they have to pay $1, make them pay $1 a month, because then they're at least invested. So pricing was one of the early things. The second one is hiring the right people. I went through a lot of people. I went through people that were sending me PowerPoint decks that they did, and then later on when I fired them, I found out that their son in university was the one doing the decks and emailing it to the sales guy to send to me. So you want to hire the right people. That's a funny story. You got to hire the right people. And you gotta really hire and be lean. Meaning, if you don't need it, don't buy it. There's so many different tools out there. You want to make sure you buy. You spend money on the products that will help you grow. But it's so easy to find 50 different tools at $50 a month that might help you, and then you look at your credit card and you're $2,500. So make sure you look you're very lean in the business until at least you've recouped some of the money you put in, and you can start hiring real people.
Yeah, I know that software is a problem of mine. I like to buy every software and try it out for sure. Especially whenever it's lifetime deals, because you just try it out, and if it's good, it's good. You use it. If not, it's not. And I know that's I know using Autoklose, it's definitely a great tool and has tremendously helped me for sure. So leading into it, so let's do a couple of questions as far as what, like, some of your favorite things. So first off, obviously this is Whiskey with Winners. I'm drinking a little bit of mine today. So what's your favorite whiskey that you like?
Right now I got to give a little props. I've been drinking some Proper 12.
Some Proper 12 because of the McGregor.
Fight. Yeah. So I like Proper 12, but
Proper 12, nice.
I definitely like my whiskey.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what are since you mentioned that, what are your thoughts on the fight? And did you see that he was being coached by Tony Robbins? What's your feedback on that? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I saw that they were friends. I didn't know he was actually being coached by Tony Robbins.
Yeah, so he's being coached by Tony Robbins, and because he had a couple of losses recently, and I guess that everybody that I've talked to that knows Tony has said that he's being coached. I don't know for 100%, but obviously whatever Tony was coaching him on, it seemed to work for a 40-second fight. Yeah,
I mean, I think he was definitely more focused. He had he fought perfect. I mean, the smartest thing you can do when you know the guy's going to want to grapple with you is, I mean, I would have never thought he would do the shouldering, but if you think about it, guy's a little bit taller, you do a little pump. So he had an interesting strategy. It was not the usual Conor McGregor I'm used to, but I'm a big fan. My wife, I went to the Khabib McGregor fight, and I wanted McGregor, and she chose Khabib, and then we watched on the weekend. She was cheering for Cerrone, and so I'm a McGregor fan. My wife's not.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm actually in Albuquerque, so I was cheering for Holly. I've actually met Holly, and I have a lot of friends that are friends with Holly. And I didn't know that Cowboy was from Albuquerque. He fights out of here. But like John Bones Jones fights here. Like I know a lot of people that know him. And it was kind of weird because everybody where I was at was cheering for Cowboy, and like me and my 4 friends were the only ones cheering for Conor. I thought that there was going to be a fight there or something, but it was 40 seconds. So,
Yeah. Well, both John Jones is a fight with Reyes coming up, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's towards the end of the month or next month, maybe.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. So I probably already know the answer to this. What is your favorite sport and your favorite sports team?
Okay. Well, tennis obviously is my favorite sports team. We've had a rough few years with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
I love all sports, but obviously living in Toronto, I am a Blue Jays and Maple Leaf fan and Raptors fan. We won it last year, so that was good. But all the Toronto fans are at my heart.
Okay, cool. Now, what is your favorite meal?
Oh, pizza. I have a big week. That's what I had during the football games yesterday, and Conor McGregor. I love pizza.
All right, Chicago style or New York?
New York
style. Okay. All right, cool. I can get behind that. Okay. So one last thing. How can people get in contact with you, and how can people find out more about you? Do you have LinkedIn, Facebook?
So the best way is LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I post probably 4 to 6 times every single day. So you'll see a lot of good nuggets and content from me. So just Shawn Finder. You can follow me there. I'm on Facebook as well. If you want to email me, Shawn, SHAWN, @autoklose.com. And that's Autoklose with a K. So it's KLOSE. But yeah, those are the best ways to get a hold of me. But I would definitely do LinkedIn first.
Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate you for being on the Whiskeys with Winners podcast, and it was good having you. Glad you dropped some nuggets for us, and we'll definitely be following up with you soon.
Thanks for having me on, Jacob.
Thank you for listening to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, your home for real and raw stories of industry titans. Make sure to click the button below to subscribe. Follow our journey on Instagram @Most Interesting Marketer and Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Remember to always stay humble, stay hungry, and stay focused.
Everything that I'm saying is out of context. Wait, it's not even really a contest. See, if you already know, then I'm next. Looking at a bodybuilder like Y-Flex. I'm dope in the pot like it's Pyrex. And I do it big just like a T-Rex. A T-Rex, I'm the best to ever do it. You know, could be so dope when he float to the fucking music. Like, this shit is nasty for real. Yeah, I'm dope. You don't even have to ask me for real, man. Damn, I think I'm going wrong. I'm going hard. Woo. Who you know could come up with the bars? I'm a shooting star. I shine bright in the fucking night, and they can't tell me that I'm doing wrong. I do it right, like I'm at the top. So who you know could really top that? Yeah, and tune in to the podcast.